What's up, podcast? Before we start today's episode, I just want to make sure that you guys are following and subscribing all of our content at svaofamerica.com/AssistanceHQ. There you can find all of the latest and greatest content, podcasts, articles, and so much more. The link's going to be in the description, so make sure you don't ever miss a piece of content. It's a whole lot of assistance going on. And now, a moment from our sponsor. Hey guys, today's podcast episode is taken from a Facebook Live recording that I did earlier today. I hope you guys enjoy. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Ramblings. We are hosting live on Facebook right now, YouTube, Twitter, you name it. Not you name it. We are focusing on the major platforms right now. We're going live. The only reason we're not live on Instagram is because of API issues. I don't know what API stands for. I just know that Restream doesn't allow for Instagram streaming right now, which they need to get on because it doesn't make sense that Facebook owns Instagram, so I can restream and go live on Facebook, but I can't go live on Instagram. Someone at the headquarters needs to get that changed. Anyway, we're back for another action-packed live where I ramble. I'm super excited about the progress that's coming. That's really kind of what this is leading into being about, almost kind of, is progress. And why I like it about being progress is because it's about growth. What we talked about at the beginning of the year. Like, if you guys think about all the way back, now I know some of you aren't able to do that. Like, you may not be in my lives or you may not be in my podcast, depending on, if you're actually paying attention and listening or not. However, the very first month, I'll say, like all of January, my big key focus now that I'm looking back was growth and getting consistent. Excuse me. Talking about growth and consistency the most because those are the foundations of doing everything. So where I am today is because of where I was and what I did 6 months ago. And what I did 6 months ago was I was focusing on growth and I was focusing on consistency. And now here we are with 30-something episodes of podcasts later, maybe 40 at this point. Who knows how many lives? I've gone live more often than I've done podcasts. So going live has been a lot easier since I just have to go live and I don't have to really schedule anything. So it's been a great journey. I've been so happy with the progress that I've made and the growth that I've been getting since the beginning of the year is just leaps and bounds, and I'm excited for it because as an entrepreneur, you become a student of the game, and I feel like I've really gotten to the point 6 months later where I'm now a student of the game. I love to learn. Anything that has to do with my business, I am 100% willing to learn. Like, if you had asked me 365 days ago today, would I be interested in being a video editor? I'd say no. Would I be interested in being a YouTuber? I'd say, Not going to really pursue and try and be consistent in it, though. However, now that I have a business and I'm trying to DIY and do everything on my own, I've had to learn to do it because, you don't have the resources and everything right now. So it really brings light and perspective on the skill sets that you learn being an entrepreneur. Like, for example, for everyone to understand what I'm talking about in terms of you becoming a student of the game, one moment, I'm getting a call from Jamie. Actually, let's put Jamie on the live. Let's put Jamie on the podcast, guys. Hey Jamie, what's going on? You're on the podcast. You're live on The Ramblings. Say what's up.
Oh, what's going on, The Rambling?
So what's going on, Jamie? How's everything doing?
Doing well. I just wanted to chat with you and see how everything was going, but you can call me back after if you want. I don't want to take up your precious time.
No problem. I certainly will give you a call back. Thanks for stopping in.
All right. Enjoy the rest of it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, so that's a good friend of mine, Jamie. Sorry about the interruption. I can't even remember where I was at. Dang. Anyway, so I do remember I was talking about the progress and everything. Yes, I was giving an example of what being a student of the game looks like. I'm going to take being a rapper, because in the pre for those of you that are watching live, you were able to see the pre setup and everything, so you know why I'm using a rapper for this example. So when I talk about being a student of the game and why I love to learn, why I consider what I do loving to learn now, is because when you're small, when you're on a slow level like where I'm at right now, you don't have a lot of money. You don't have a lot of resources actually in general. So you have to do everything yourself. And when you do everything yourself, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's exactly what you would do. So you have to learn how to do it in order to continue progressing yourself and your main goal further along. So we're going to take a rapper, right? We're going to take someone who exclusively raps, and we're going to place them in Connecticut, right? So you have someone in Connecticut living in who knows where, not New Haven, just for this example. So you have a rapper that's from Connecticut, but you don't necessarily know where they live, right? So in Connecticut, we're not a music area. You feel me? So the people that make music are very not known, unfortunately. We don't have studios. We don't have name brand things in the music industry. So this artist, this rapper, needs to make music. However, he's a rapper. He's not a producer. He's not a manager. He's not, a PR person. He doesn't do any other things that require you to be a rapper. So when you're a rapper, someone has to book your show, someone has to record your songs, someone has to mix your music, someone has to make your beats, someone has to get your music videos done. So this rapper who has been going to these terrible studios or is paying large amounts of money that he can't live, right? He has to be able to live. And in order to live, you have to pay your bills. And all of his bill money is going to the studio, right? If you're going to a studio. Say there was this top-notch studio, right? And so he's blowing all his money on the top-notch studio. But you can't go anywhere if you're not even taking care of yourself. So you got to take care of yourself first. So he stops paying the money for the studios to record at home. He's like, you know what? I'm going to learn how to record myself. I'm going to go on YouTube, find a beat. I'm going to put that beat into the software, and then I'm going to record myself over it and do it like that. But he realized he wants better work, right? So this rapper or artist then goes from being a rapper to learning how to be a producer, to making his songs, right? So now this rapper is going to go on YouTube, get his songs, and he mixes and masters and records his own stuff because that's what he learned how to do. So in that, he learned how to use a software, and he learned how to mix and record and what goes into making the song. So not only has he picked up two additional skills, he's now able to make better music as an artist or a rapper, and that's what his goal was to begin with. He always wanted to be a great rapper, right? And that was his original goal. So in being a student of the game, he learned how to be a producer and learned what went into making his songs. So now he has those skills, right? But that's not enough. He's a student of the game. He wants to really be a rapper, and now because he's starting to see traction in his music, right? So he might have went from, say, 10 followers in his SoundCloud to 100 followers in his SoundCloud. So now he's like, you know what? I need to start getting ready to monetize. I don't want to get sued. I don't want to end up like Juice WRLD in that song where the guy owns like 80 or 90 something % of the royalties from it. So he says, you know what? I'm going to start making my own beats. So instead of paying YouTube for beats, which is what he was doing before to lease out and get the beats, he's going to create and make his own. So he goes without making music for a while. He keeps on making raps and everything, but he's not really making songs. So this person, then he decides to save that money that he was putting towards beats and buy the materials necessary so he can make his own beats. So he gets a MIDI key, he gets a MIDI player, he gets a keyboard, and whatever else you're going to need to make beats, right? So now the artist, the rapper, the person who wants to be a rapper and a rapper only has now picked up other skills. They've now not only started off as a rapper, but because of being a student of the game, they have now picked up how to make their music, which is the two skills of learning the software and what goes into using that software to make the music. He's now also picked up, what are we just talking about? Dang, I just lost my train of thought. I hate when that happens. What were we? He picks up the two skills and the new making the beats. I don't know why. I hate when I lose my train of thought. Oh, anyway. So now he's learned 3 skills. He's learned how to make beats. He's learned how to take those beats, put them on the song, and mix and master his song. And he's learned how to use the software that mixes and masters his songs. So that's 3 skills, right? So now you have a force. This artist, this rapper, is now a force. They make great music, right? However, he only has 100, 150, 200 followers. It's not a large following, right? So now he's like, okay, I have great songs and I have 200 people that follow me, that like what I've already put out because it's been bad quality. And now I've put out good quality and I have 200 followers now. So what I need to do is find a way to get my best songs in front of a lot of people. So he's like, okay, I'm going to learn how to market my music. So what does he do? He learns, he may take a social media marketing course. He may just go on YouTube. He does whatever he does to learn how to get his music in front of the right people. So now not only has he learned how to make the song, how to complete the song, how to make the beat, he's now also learned how to market the entire song, which will grow. And after you hit that point, after you hit the marketing point in terms of social media and everything, now you really start to see some serious traction because everything comes before the marketing. Marketing is only an afterthought after you've completed your product, after you've completed your service, after you have everything in your groundwork laid. And so that's why when you are an entrepreneur or when you do what you love, you become a student of the game. Because it's not just about what you do in terms of your goal. It's about the methods and what you have to do in order to get there. So if you want to be a basketball player, right? In being a basketball player, if you were to ask LeBron James what it takes to be a basketball player, he's going to tell you a bunch of things. And if you were to ask him about some of those things, he is probably pretty knowledgeable as far as a basketball player is concerned in those areas. For example, dieting. If you ask LeBron James tips about dieting, LeBron James is a basketball player. What are you doing asking a basketball player about dieting? But you have to think, he's a student of his game of basketball. He's going to know dieting in terms of basketball. Think about that. In order to be a good basketball player, you have to have a good diet. You have to have a good workout regime. So if you wanted to be a good basketball player, you're not going to just ask LeBron, how are you going to, what do you have to do? He's going to say you're going to have to eat well, do all of these things, but you know that. So the key questions you're going to want to ask, which is why I feel like people that are asking people who are business owners, oh, how did you start your business? How did you do this? And they're all say the same thing. Oh, it takes hard work, takes long nights, takes all of this, and they're like, oh, that's vague. You're not giving up any real information. Because you're asking a vague question. Change the question. So when you ask LeBron, what are tips on having a good diet? He will give you tips from the basketball player's stance of a good diet. When you ask a business owner, what does it take to own or run a business? They're going to tell you the things that it takes. Hard work, dedication, long nights, preparation. And you're like, well, what is that? So what you want to do is you want to rephrase your question to be specific so you can get a more specific answer. Broad questions get broad answers. Specific questions get specific answers. So if you're going to ask, like I said, LeBron James about being a good basketball player, you're going to ask him about specific details. Hey, LeBron, what does your practice workout, what does your dribbling workout consist of? What does your shooting workout consist of? Oh, it consists of this many reps of 3-pointers, this many reps of free throws. You see, now you're going to get a specific answer. That is how LeBron James became a great basketball player. Hard work. So, okay, LeBron, how did you work hard in the gym? How did you work hard to be a good basketball player? Well, I had to work long nights in the gym. I had to be the first person in, the first person out. That tells you something. That means whatever time practice starts and whatever time the first person in the gym gets there, you have to be there earlier. You have to be the first person in the gym. Then you have to stay there till you're the last person in the gym. So what does that mean that surrounds that? Your life surrounds your goal. So if you want to be a basketball player, your life should surround and be based around that. If you want to be a tech engineer, your life should be based around that. If you don't have any goals, guess what? Your life will be based around that. Your life is based around your goals. And if you don't have any, it shows because it's based on what your life is centered around. When you ask LeBron James, what is he doing? And it's 7 o'clock in the morning. What is he doing? He's in the gym. Why? Because he wants to be a better basketball player. If you were to get up at 7 o'clock and ask a coder what they're doing at 7 o'clock in the morning, guess what they're doing? Well, a coder's different. They're probably going to sleep because they were spending all night coding. It's a little bit of a different schedule. So, I mean, hey, a coder's probably like, yeah, I'm going to sleep at 7 o'clock. But that's because they spent, 5 o'clock in the afternoon till 6:30 in the morning that next day coding. Because I don't know what it is, but coders seem to just work that overnight shift. Blows me. I don't know. Whatever. That's why you have to become a student of the game. Because in order to progress, you have to be a student of the game. Because you have to learn. That's why people say you have to learn. When people are telling you it takes a 14-hour day to be successful, that is what goes, that's the biggest thing I've learned on how you are working a 14-hour day. Whenever you see a business owner and they're like, oh, I work 12 hours a day, I work 15 hours a day, you have to know what goes into those 15 hours. And so when you become a student of the game, you really understand what goes into that 15 hours. Now, when you look at the schedules, if you go to YouTube and type in a day in the life of whatever rich person you want to say, LeBron James, Gary Vaynerchuk, Tim Robbins, Damon John, whoever, you can probably find a day in the life of them and what their day consists of. And like, well, when do they go to work? Their entire day is basically around work. Like when you think of this, if LeBron James wakes up and goes to the gym and then hangs out with his kids and then goes to a meeting with his PR guy and then goes back to the gym, what did he do? That is LeBron James's job. Let me tell you how. LeBron wakes up, goes to the gym. He's a basketball player. You got to go to the gym to practice. Guess what? He's also a parent just like the rest of you. So you have to make sure as your job to take care of your kids, right? Got to go back to practice, work, meet with your PR team. Your PR is your personal brand. That's who you are, what you're shown as. And as an athlete, that is one of the most important things to you. So of course you're going to want to have a meeting about that. That's part of your work. That's part of your job. So when you ask a business person what their day consists of, when they're posting on social media, when they're recording songs, when they're trying to get film, like if you were to see a YouTuber, like for example, for fun, I watched the In the Day of. Vanity had a thing on YouTube where they had an In the Day of David Dobrik, right? He's a YouTuber. And he wakes up at like 9 o'clock or something, and he just really has but so much time to shoot in the middle of the day, like, right? He's a night kind of person because, it's a teen lifestyle. I'm a YouTuber, I make videos. But when you hear what he does, how the day is spent, it is all work. Now, it just so happens to be his work is fun. Guess what? Playing basketball for LeBron James is fun. For me, doing my work is fun. I love being a CEO and running a company. I love like doing this right now. I love doing it. It's fun for me. So for you guys, it's not going to look like work, but it is work. Because guess what? That's what has to go. That's the work that has to go into doing and being successful. And I think I just cracked the key live on my own. And I just realized, like, I think I just blew my own mind with that. Like a realization check. I think I just blew my own mind. It doesn't seem like people are working 12 and 14-hour shifts because to you, what it looks like is not work. They're posting on social media. They're doing, whatever it is that they're doing. They might be recording. They might spend 8 hours a day recording, or they're editing their videos, right? They might spend a full 24 hours of their day recording, and then they spend the other 24 doing like the editing process of it, right? So when you think of what it goes into be a YouTuber, right? Think of it like this. You wake up at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, because you're a YouTuber, you can wake up at 10 o'clock, it's whatever, right? You have, especially if you live in New England, till in the winter time, till about 5 o'clock till you get good sunlight. So that's when you got to get all the good stuff, because guess what? You're a YouTuber. You're not going to be outside. You're not going to be, and unless you're in a small area, which is a well-lit room and everything, you have a certain amount of time of shooting hours to get stuff done. And here's the thing, you still have to get other stuff done. So you have to find time to get hours of recording time, right? So let's just say you need to get 5 hours of recording in order to get a 45-minute video. And the videos don't even be that long. They be like 20 minutes, right? So you need to get 5 hours of video to make a 20-minute film. 30-minute film, right? 30 minutes. So 5 hours to make a 30-minute film. However, you have to edit that down. So that's another 5 hours. So 5 hours of video recording, 5 hours of video editing, and then the actual thing is done for your 30-minute thing. So you spend 10 hours to produce a 30-minute piece of content. So if you woke up at 10 o'clock, spent 5 hours recording, and then spent 5 hours editing, that brings you to 8 o'clock. Think about that. You're spending 10 hours in a day working, but to somebody else, that doesn't look like work. To somebody else, you walked around with a camera and then you just made a video and it took 30 minutes. So unless you have a lot of followers, to most people, they're not going to consider that doing anything, right? Because until you start making money from it, it's a hobby. It doesn't count as a business, as a job, until you make your first penny from it. I don't care if you're making pennies from it, because guess what? When you start making revenue streams from YouTube, it starts off as pennies. Like my podcast I've been doing my podcast for 6 months and I only have like $1 and change. I don't have 200 streams. You feel me? Barely. So as of right now, it's small time, but it takes the time to build. Because think of it like this. If you look at the time it takes for people to be successful on YouTube, like literally, consistency on YouTube is the key, is what I'm seeing. Like literally, you can be an absolute nobody and then post on YouTube, like, I'm going to just say the magic number is 4 times a week, right? If you post 4 times a week, right? So that's 2 hours of videos. So that's 10, 20, 30, 40. So in order to post 4 times a week, that's 2 hours of video time on YouTube. That's 4 30-minute videos, right? It took you 40 hours to do that. It took you 40 hours to do that. And if you do that for 3 years, you'll be YouTube famous relatively. You'll be making, I'll say, $20,000 a month from YouTube. If you did I am a firm believer, which is what I'm doing. I'm actually going to live by that. For the next 3-4 years, I'm going to be making 4 YouTube videos a week. And in that, it's going to just grow. Because guess what? The best part about it is if you are running a business, and you're not just a YouTuber, you can, you'd spend all of your time focusing on the YouTube aspect. So I feel like it might be a little bit different. However, when you run a business and your YouTube, you're just documenting your process as an addition to it. Guess what? That revenue stream doesn't matter. Because guess what? My revenue stream that I'm focused on is coming from my business. However, by documenting and doing all of this extra side work and stuff, by the time my business hits a certain amount, let's call it, we're using a 3-year span, I've already done almost 1,500. By the time we hit the end of this month, I would probably be, because I'm looking to do a G this week, end of this month, I'm looking to be at around 3,000. So in 6 months, if I can do 3, and another, I can do 6, right? So in 3 years, if that would be 18, but I'm growing over time. So if at the end of this year, I end with 15 and then 6, right? That will then turn into a monthly basis because the clientele has built up because I've gotten one client. So it took me a long time to get 5 clients and then accumulate, say, $2,000. But now it's going to be $2,000 a month. So in the growth of my business and documenting my YouTube, documenting my growth, that will also grow my YouTube. So if in 3 years I'm making $500,000 from my business, I can at the same time also be making $500,000 from YouTube. You have to be a student of the game, guys. It has to be a passion. You have to want it, man. Bad. You have to want it bad. If you don't want it bad, you're not going to get it. I'm sorry. It's just not, you have to want it bad because you're going to be learning about so many different things that are relevant to you starting your business. Now, it doesn't matter if you continue with it, but guess what? Unless you have the resources, you have to do it right now all yourself. And if you're not willing to do that, guess what? You're not willing to do things you don't like for your business, you're not going to make it. Because those are the things that you don't like to do that go into business. So when people tell you, hey, yeah, you have to do things that you don't like to do, even though you're getting into a business that you want to get into, that doesn't mean you're not going to have to do things you don't want to do. Because guess what? You run a business and you want it to be a YouTuber, right? But you need to manage the money that comes in. So you got to have a budget. That's work. You got to manage all that stuff and do taxes and everything and focus on that. So if you're not willing to handle that, there's a lot of other things that you're not willing to handle. You're not cut out for this, man. You're really not. Hey Ramblers, before you go, make sure you're following us on social media at Assistance HQ across the board for all content and exclusives. And for an even more personal touch, subscribe to our weekly newsletter with the link in the description.